Now I would like to show you very briefly how to deal with errors inside PLSQL code. Now this is not your regular compilation errors, this is runtime errors. If you recall from a previous movie, this was an error. This is a compilation error. It means that it can't analyze the code and decide that the code is useful, so the compiler kicks it out and says, I'm not even going to create a piece of code that you can run for that in memory. Just do something with it, right? It says, this means I have a PLSQL compilation error. If I put the null in there, it's happy with that. It will actually say it's completed. Null means it hasn't done anything, but it's there. So if you remember, we had this procedure called create price multiplier. Now what I've done in this particular version is I've entered an error. So I hit this and it compiles it. And I can compile it again if I want to be really detail oriented about it. And then I can execute the procedure. And I think I scrolled it too far down, which I did. And if you recall, we ran this, anonymous block completed. So what happens if I have an error in there? I'm trying to figure out what to do with runtime errors. Venue equals 5. Venue equals a number. Why would this produce an error? Because the venue variable is actually a varchar2, which is a string data type. When you add strings in, they should be enclosed in quotes. And for some funny reason, Oracle SQL uses these single quotes for string delimiters. It just does. Get used to it. If I had this in there, that's a string. That is not a string, it's a number. If Oracle decides that it cannot interpret 5 without quotes as a string, it will give me an error, but it won't necessarily give me a compilation error. So highlighted on this thing with the mouse here, I'm going to click the play button, and it tells me that warning execution completed, but with warning. So it basically, it's not a compilation error, it's a compilation warning. But what I want to show you is how to find that stuff. Sometimes you come up with really cryptic messages for PLSQL, and it's very difficult to tell what the problem is without deliberately tracing through each line of the code, and it can drive you a little crazy. Show errors will give me some information on what the error actually is. And guess what? It's right there. Expression venue cannot be used as an assignment target. That could just mean that I can't set that variable like that. So let's run this again. And actually did it again. So it's still giving me a runtime error, but I was misinterpreting what kind of error that is. The reason why I was misinterpreting it is because this is actually a parameter, and it's an input parameter. If this was in-out, I would be able to change it inside the procedure. If it was out, I would be able to change it inside the procedure. At this point, I can't. Let's try changing this to in-out and see if it actually compiles and doesn't give me a hard time. And it does. So when I execute the procedure, and I'll go all the way down to this stuff again, just execute one of these. Compact center using assignment target, statement ignored. It's giving me a problem because I'm trying to go in out now. So, well, essentially, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you what the errors are within PLSQL. Sometimes you will get a runtime error that is hard to interpret, and for some reason it doesn't have it in there. They don't always get added in. I think because this is not a compilation warning, it is a compilation error. It means you can't do that at all, and I don't need to put it in the error table. So we take this out of here, go back to here. Essentially, venue is an in variable or an input parameter. I can't change it inside the procedure, so it gives me a warning. So run it again. Show the errors. There is also a table within each user called all errors. This will give me all the errors that have occurred since I created the database, I think, because it's got all sorts of other things in it as well. Anyway, that is how you find PLSQL errors. The show errors command can be extremely useful, and selecting from the all errors table can also be extremely useful. Why? Because PLSQL code is very hard to interpret sometimes. You can change the level that you look at with PLSQL warnings based on a system level parameter called PLSQL warnings. Enable all, performance only, disable all, and there you can change it in the parameter file. That's complicated. That's DBA stuff, not PLSQL. You can change it on a global scope across the entire database. That's enough about showing errors in PLSQL.